and welcome, listeners, to this, the 38th episode of the Heresy Accountabilities Podcast. I'm Jacob, and on this show I'm joined by...
Duncan.
Jack.
John.
Ned.
And we're glad to have you with us. Nice little show for you today. Gonna talk about a little bit of hobby progress. The latest release previews, which includes the fact that we are finally starting to get some previews of the Siege of Sithonia. Pretty exciting there. And maybe just a little bit more chit-chat about Adepticon, as well as a couple other events. Who wants to get us started on hobby progress?
Yeah, so this is John. I didn't get a ton of hobby progress. Like last time, I'm still kind of cleaning up after Adepticon. But leading into this weekend, we had a local event based around Beta Garmin. So basically, everyone had Titans on their tables and kind of had a slugfest out that way. It started out as a fairly small event with a few invites, then it actually ended up kind of ballooning out to 14 people showing up. And so we had a real good event that way. As far as like attendance going, really no duplicate legions. It was kind of nice to see, a nice spread of everything. There was Mechanicum. There was only one of really any legion that I saw. Oh, I'm sorry, except for Word Bearers. I had to shoot both of them. But other than that, it was a good event. Martin Emery from the. I was going to have to edit this crap out while I look up on my phone because I forgot the name of his podcast, even though I talked to the man, and he's a really nice guy. And I completely forgot the name of his... From the Fires of Betrayal podcast. Used to be God Engine Cast.
Oh.
He's a real nice guy from Oklahoma. He drove down. I supplied him a while ago with a lot of decals and a lot of purity seals and things like that, and that really kind of helped him get off the ground and into the heresy as proper instead of just being tiny Titans and moving more into everything. He actually won Best Painted, so it was a good blast there. What was a little weird was Will had Iron Hand Will had set up this whole event. I supplied all the tables. A vast majority of Titans could have been supplied by me, but a lot of other people brought some. And then the event had custom missions written for every table. All 7 tables had their own custom missions. First mission I had was to find a downed Xiphon from the Thousand Suns. That was really the only objective, and then secondary objectives were things like kill points and killing more units and things. Neither of us got that main objective, Martin or I. We really fought for it, and he's actually posted up some really nice photos in our group and some other groups. But it was a slugfest, and really, in all recommendations of that word, it was just back and forth, psychotic, blowing things up left and right. So neither of us got the main objective, but every now and then during the day, the Titans would shoot at each other from table to table. And so you would do like, okay, everybody within 12 inches of the Warhound roll a d6 on a 4+, you're hit by some stray Vulcan Megabolter rounds, or hey, there's a Reaver that's about to fall over here. I think Lucas's table, actually, one of the Titans actually blew up because it got shot by another Titan from a different table and blew up and killed some of his units. So it was an interesting way of integrating things that a lot of people have, but don't a lot of ways to use them, so to speak. So, a lot of people have Titans, a lot of people like to bring them out, but most games aren't going to let you run anything bigger than a Warhound if it's not over, 4,000 points or something like that for a Reaver. So it was nice to use everything as scenery, and then how a lot of really nice photos came of the event because you've got these big god machines towering over everything, slugging it out from table to table, as well as the high contrast colors that were in mine and Will's armies are Titans are a bright red, and some of the tables were that kind of more muted desert color scheme. So it was really nice to see that the way the pictures came out in all these events, and then. Come to the end of the event, we're giving away awards, and I realized that for personal reasons, I had a couple of Reaver Titans commissioned. I wasn't really kind of happy with how they came out, so I decided I was going to go ahead and spread the love, and I went ahead and the Accountability sponsored giving away a Titan to a player who didn't have one. So I gave away one of the custom Reavers that I had made to one of the gamers there, and he was ecstatic, to say the least.
Very nice.
Yeah, everybody took. So what we do usually in North Texas for prizes is everyone rolls off. So if you've got a painted, obviously the best painted wins for this event. But usually what we do is like a roll off. So if you've got a fully painted army, and I always joke, if you have to ask what fully painted means, it means you ain't. So if you have a fully painted army, everyone rolls off. So loyalists roll off, traitors roll off, and then we kept going through that. And then eventually we had most people had gotten awards, but then we decided, hey. Um, if you don't have a Titan, go ahead and roll off. And so just a couple people stepped up and rolled off, and then one of the guys walked away with a custom built and primed Reaver, and so he's got to do some repair work. It's been in my garage for a little while, but it's definitely a Reaver Titan with turbo lasers and a missile launcher on top. So
Fun.
built in the Lucius style. But yeah, it was a good event, and appreciate everyone coming out today. While we're recording the cast, I'm going to try to clean up a little bit more. We were joking around before the cast of all of our paint stashes that are not so stashed away anymore for Adepticon and things like that. So I'm going to try to get some more scatter terrain done, and then, like I said, trying to get more onto those half-finished projects that I got done for before Adepticon. And then I've been talking with Michael out of Warzone Houston coming up in September 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. My goal, and I'm going to state it on the podcast so it's real, my goal is to have my knights finished for that. So I
Sweet.
have them all built. I have a lot of bases custom built. I've got a lot of dead word bearers to paint. I've got the skeletons kind of base coated, but my goal is to have the knights finished for Warzone Houston.
And when is that exactly?
September 22nd, 23rd, and 24th.
Awesome.
And I talked to Martin Emery from Oklahoma, and he will be down there for that. And we're also getting some other people to come from out of state for that. Usually we get a big Louisiana crowd, too. So Alex Stanford comes down, and everyone knows him, the heresy lawyer with the funny mustache. And much drinking and fun is had.
Much streaking or drinking?
Yes.
Now, outstanding.
If you have to ask, you weren't invited.
I didn't know John was down like that. So yeah.
I guess it kind of depends on how I'm feeling in the day.
Heresy opens many doors.
I'm a little worn out if it's not coming through my voice. Having to. So the event hall we picked is literally a block from my house. So everyone was like, "Oh, John can run everything," and so it took 2.5 truckloads of terrain, Titans, my army, stuff that people had me haul down from Adepticon that they then still left there that I had to take home again. It was a lot of back and forth, so I'm a little worn out.
It sounds fun, sir.
I will pass the ball on to Ned, since you haven't been on in a while.
Yeah, well, after getting everything finished with the Iron Hands for Adepticon, I came back and I said I was going to take a palate cleanser. I've been working on my... Can you hear my dog drinking?
No.
Good, okay. Edit that out, Sir Boss. I've been working on Squigs. And, doing a little bit of Age of Sigmar just for something different, because I've seen so much power armor and whatever else, and that's been a good time. But I'm already thinking about what I'm doing next for Heresy, and thinking about what I'm going to get together for... I think I'm going to try to go to Bug Eaters this year in Omaha, and then I'm also going to... Obviously, we do our little Iowa Midwest thing in October, so trying to figure out what I'm going to play for all that. But... right now, I'm so behind on posting on my YouTube channel that I was thinking I might take the next couple of weeks just to try to get caught up there. And I see you guys have been posting things on YouTube as well.
Yeah, that's been a pet project that I took on in February. That way we would just have a YouTube channel already there with stuff kind of saved up on it already.
Right.
And I primarily listen to podcasts on YouTube. I don't really have a lot of podcasting apps that I like or use, so I just do YouTube playing in the background in my truck at the house.
Right.
For your Adepticon recap video, I actually looked on YouTube first before I went to the link you put in the group chat.
Oh, really?
Yeah. On the YouTube channel.
I've been very lazy about updating that, so I need to get on it. So maybe I'll dump a whole bunch of them soon. Hopefully.
Yeah, that's what I did. So, what else you worked on, Ed? Or is that it?
Honestly, that's it. Like, just been trying to do stuff with hobby. I mean, I put out 2 episodes of my podcast in the last week, and that takes a long time for me, just entirely by myself. But then, yeah, I primed and started assembling like what would be about. I don't really know how many points of squigs it is because I don't really know the rules for Sigmar. I just wanted to paint the models, but I think it's probably approaching like. I mean, it's got to be over 2,000 points. But I got one of the box sets for Christmas, and I got some extra stuff from a friend who had started the army, and he's like, well, I'm not going to do it anymore, so here's just some stuff. Just a lot of little squiggies. I really appreciate, like, as serious as heresy is, like, painting the little, or putting together a little squig that's half eaten one of its minders, so there's just a foot sticking out of its mouth, you know what I mean? Just the goofiness of it is an interesting change. It's not heresy, but it's fun.
I totally get that. There's occasion that I get like a wild feather in my butt that I'm like, man, I want to paint something this crazy or outlandish.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking at. My Battletech armies too. I'm going to do the 13th Recon Company with all of the mercenary units, and they are in the lore. They're just known for just being like a big, colorful band of basically gypsies.
Right.
So that's what I'm going to use that as my palette cleanser for that, because this year's going to be exercising a lot of muscles when it coming to painting. I did my Ultramarines very much. I did, and I'm painting a whole entire army that I'm going to keep on painting and adding stuff to for the next couple of years. That way, I have at least one of everything. So it didn't take a lot of corners with that, but just streamline the painting process. Picked out character models and stuff like that. But what we're looking for DevCon next year, it's going to be a lot of exercising muscles that I probably haven't used since pre-COVID when it comes to stuff. So there's going to be a lot of angry, a lot of hollering, a lot of me walking away, a lot of Duncan talking me down from the ledge, a lot of John telling me that looked like garbage. Try again, because that's what I want from John.
Well, awesome though. That's exciting.
Yeah. So I guess I'll kick into it because I'll be really fast. Going off the whole entire YouTube conversation, put up a test video that maybe we'll see a lot of day if we do a couple things. That was just fun. Got a lot of learnings from that. It was a how to paint video, which I've never done before. I haven't done video editing since junior year in high school.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And then
what year was that, Jack?
What's that?
What year was that you said that you did that?
I'm sorry, I don't recognize what you're saying right now.
What century was that?
Okay.
I see how it is now. Anyway, and then me and Duncan got together and found out that there was a question that we didn't know the answer to: is how many is too many assault cannons?
That's right. I forgot to look at that list.
Yes, Ned. You should. You should really look at that list.
You sent me the list. He sent me the list, and I was like, I was editing episode 12, and I was like, remind me to get back to it later. And he immediately responded, "Hey Ned, it's later. Check this list out." And I was like, cool.
That does sound like him. 100%.
It does sound like him.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But I think we have lists figured out for next year. Duncan, we got to get the stuff ordered. Like, I think we said middle of this month we're going to get the stuff ordered. That way we can put our back into getting it painted.
Oh, because you guys are talking about doing like we're talking for the tag team next year, right?
Yeah.
Tag team and like another, the Siege of the Golden Demon, which we actually haven't really done a lot of talking about. But the idea with that is,
and this is not our idea, but we fully endorse it.
Hold on a second, guys. I gotta step in for a quick second and help out. Okay. I'll be right back. Keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Jack, the Siege of the Golden Demon. Who came up with this brilliant idea?
I'm blaming Zach. Is who I'm blaming.
And Zach who?
Pagic.
Okay. So what is this idea, Jack?
This idea, Duncan, is we are fairly confident in saying that as a whole in our community, that we put on some of the best looking models as far as painting, on some of the best looking tables so far as painting. That's not trying to be boisterous. That's just the feeling that we have. With the new edition coming out
That's
in
just
the
facts, son. There's no questions. That's just facts. Facts.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. We all have this opinion about the heresy community in general.
Right. And with the new edition coming out, with the new people that are coming in, which is flipping fantastic. I almost said a dirty word, but I caught myself. It's flipping fantastic. It's not that there wasn't fully painted armies there. It's that we just kind of want to take the community to the next level and trying to promote ways to do it. Some of the ideas that were kicked around was the Siege of the Golden Demon, which basically, and there's a lot more groundwork that has to be done. But the initial conversation with the people that run events in the Heresy, everybody seemed positive about it. But if you put in a model to Golden Demon next year, you get points for whatever faction you're playing for that weekend and for every single event. So if you're doing Loyalist, and you'll get points for Loyalist if you play Beta Garmin one night, or Ferrix one day, or the team another day, or whatever events there may be next year, you'll get points for each event you're in for having that unit, for that model diorama.
For having a model entered in the Golden
Right.
Demon.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're like, so let's say I do something crazy, something takes over my body, and I accidentally enter a traitor model. I would get Loyalist points because I'm playing on the Loyalist side.
Whatever side you choose to do, you could put in a Age of Sigmar model, because I don't play Age of Sigmar, but some of those models that they have are just fantastic, truly fantastic.
I'll give you that.
I
like the Griffin dogs.
Yeah. Like I love the beetle stuff, like the big bug that they had. I thought those were just fantastic. Yeah. But then that was one of the ideas that came from this year is with Siege of the Golden Demon. So what I have on my book right now to do is, since I'm already doing Imperial Fist for the team, I'm going to do Dorn as my model that I'm going to enter because I hate myself. I need to find somebody to do some green stuff work on him, particularly his face, because he needs to have. Chops. Yeah.
That's correct. He needs the mutton chops. 100%. I see your face, Duncan. Whatever you're feeling right now, I want you to repress it.
No, I think that Dorn is probably one of the few Primarchs I'd be okay with facial hair in the Heresy. He's got to be mutton chops.
He needs absolutely.
Absolutely.
Big and thick.
I think I know exactly where all of us are getting that he needs mutton chops from.
But going back to it, so that's one of the things. Talked with Zach, who does the team. Ideas have been kicked around about how we're doing the team next year. So me and Duncan are kind of going full bore in a very thematic list with matching weathering and all that good stuff for all of our armies. Getting a list figured out for that. So that's honestly, outside of playing on YouTube and videos, that's what happened this week for myself. Duncan, have you gone yet?
No, I have not.
Duncan, how many assault cannon rounds are too many? Is 379 too many?
I think 379 would be a bit much.
Okay.
I also don't quite know how much. Okay, so the 3,000 point list I kind of fiddled around with. It may say 216 shots from assault cannons in one army before it takes casualties. I think that might be borderline along the edge of too much. I'm not sure yet, but that's the current possibility. And for how you get there, well, let's just say it's going to be difficult and expensive. But for the 1,500 points, it's only half as expensive. So
there you go.
There we go. But other than fiddling around and creating an abomination of a 3,000 point list and what I think is not an abomination of a 2,000 point list, 1,500 point list for Blood Angels. I think it's going to be fun and thematic. I have gotten more paints from Procryl because I needed more. Because Lord knows, as we discussed right before we actually started recording, none of us have enough paint somehow. Despite the fact that we could probably all paint at least a room in our house with just our miniature paints.
Duncan, can I respond to your list?
Yes, please do. I don't even know what that was, but it either was a tugboat or someone being very flatulent.
It was an A10.
Ah, yes, that is. The Burt definitely fits in that list.
When he sent it to me and I briefly scanned it just to see what it was, I immediately thought of what is Jesse the Body Ventura in Predator. That's what I thought of. It was literally the first thing that came to my mind. So,
I mean, that fits, only you don't put him in a jump pack. Beyond that, I have been working on my entry for the Radio Free Istvan character model contest that they've been asking people to put in for. So I decided to paint up Delvaris kind of based on the way that he was done by Little Legends. I did not do a repose of his legs like Little Legends did because honestly, it's a Forge World model. It's kind of fiddly. And I didn't feel like doing all the hacking and cutting and everything that would be, and green stuff work that would be necessary for that. So he still kind of has the same pose with different arms and other stuff done to him. But at this point, I'm not even certain how many hours of work I have put into him, but I'm really, really absurdly happy with how well he has turned out so far.
That's awesome.
And I'll actually post a picture of that in our Facebook group as well. I've also got it posted to my Instagram, but Instagram sucks. Beyond that, I've put down a lot more white on some World Eater models lately than I wanted to. I've assembled another Contemptor. And
because you can never have too many?
That's probably correct.
Yeah, realistically, you can never have too many. This one's for the World Eaters, though, so there's that. And I've got the start of the con done paint-wise. He's been base coated and zenithalled. I'm just trying to figure out exactly which way of doing his white for his armor that I want to do. I haven't quite figured that part out yet, but once I do, I will. Once I've got his recipe for the white on that figured out, I'll get him started on. And unfortunately, I've been trying to figure out what I want to put into the demon next year, because of course, if we're going to do the Blood Angels, that makes me wonder if I need to get the Glorious Hawk Boy.
Ooh.
And I'll be absolutely honest. I love the Glorious Hawk Boy's look, but there's some bits of him that I'm not really a fan of that I realistically think I would probably want to repose, not exactly resculpt, but something. Because I don't see a reason to have him on top of that demon brute or whatever it is he's destroying. And I don't like the hair coming off of his head like that. I think it looks goofy. Just my personal opinion. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up having to buy him as well and deal with that.
You also have to buy Cabanda then if you do that.
I'm not buying Cabanda.
Why not?
Nope. Got zero desire to buy Cabanda. I already have enough strange stuff I will paint and probably never put onto a battlefield. I am not buying Cabanda because I have zero desire to do Ruinstorm Demons. I have zero desire to do Word Bearers. I like power armor.
You don't need to do Ruin Storms to run Cabanda.
You're right.
Be your Lord of War with your World Eaters.
Yeah, he's a pretty good demon bomb.
Yeah. So if I was going to put a Lord of War with my World Eaters, that would probably be the Fellblade that I have for them already. That I don't have ready or completed either, because too much painting of white. But that's all. Yeah. But that's all about all I've done.
So you're not interested in demons at all, though?
I don't really. I want to see someone else playing them on the tabletop. I want to see people playing multiple different types of armies. But to me, it does not seem like something I actually want to build an army to have with them.
Got it.
So my World Eaters list. Sorry, I'll start off. The Sons of Horus list is built around the force that Little Horus took and used on Terra and on the planet where he lost his face. So that's literally his entire company and what he did and the forces he used when he died at Terra.
Mm-hmm.
The World Eaters are built entirely around the Battle of Armatura. So there's only things in that army that are actually listed in the novel Betrayer. The guys with chain axes, obviously, the Contemptors that are listed, the Speeders, and the Scout Bike guys, and Land Raiders, other than Destroyers, which I have to get and do for them as well. But then the characters that are mentioned are Delvaris, who is there, Kargos, who's there, Karn, Angry Ron, Skane with the Destroyers, and Karn's banner guy, and Draeger. Those are literally the World Eater characters that get mentioned as present. Yeah. So I'm going to do up. I've already got a Delvaris now. I've got a Karn. I'll probably end up redoing Karn because you can always redo Karn, make him better. So I'm going to do all those characters that don't even have rules, but just can be used as a generic champion for Delvaris, whatever I want for Draeger, a Primus Medicae for Kargas, the Standard Bearer for the Standard Bearer who's in Karn's command squad. I'll even do a World Eater's Librarian for Iska or whatever his name was. And I'm going to do the Contemptors armed exactly as they were in the novel. But so if that entire army is based around that, that's early to mid heresy. So that's before they got the red totally covering all the blue. And it's before they started having truck with the demons, because obviously Angron hasn't fallen into being Demon Angron yet. So putting a Commanda in there just doesn't really fit.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I get that. I can stand behind that.
Well, thank you. And a Fellblade, because the tanks are mentioned, and somehow I have to acquire a Warhound Titan so I can paint and have Sergala, because that Titan is mentioned throughout that novel a lot.
Sure.
So that's my plan for redoing them entirely.
I've always wanted a Warhound Titan. I just like the way they look.
I wish I could get one of the ones with the older, boxier face. I don't really like the
Lucian.
No. Yeah.
Either
I think the currently available one is the Mars pattern. I prefer the Lucian pattern.
Yeah,
Got it.
My 4 scratch builds are Lucius patterns.
Yeah, I prefer that look to them. Beyond that, I have a Night Lord's future list planned out. I have the Blood Angel list planned out. I have a Blood Angel force over there that I don't ever use anymore. And I have an Iron Warriors list over there that I don't ever use anymore, because apparently somehow in this edition it's even worse than it was last time. Remember, kids, friends don't let friends build 16 quad mortars.
Allegedly.
Or 12 quad mortars, or however many it is.
But 12 dreadnoughts is okay?
You can bring that many dreadnoughts if you want. It just, you might not have any friends afterwards.
You saw my family photo. I have that many.
I know you do. You also have more than that in Predators. But
if I keep winning Leviathans at events, I opened my closet as I was looking for all this stuff for this event, and I came across the Leviathan that I won at Adepticon, and then right next to it was another Leviathan that I'd won at another event. And so now I've got 5 Leviathans as well. I'm just like, I keep getting dreadnoughts. I don't know why. I keep getting.
I have a Leviathan over here for the Sons of Horus that's like a third painted. It's got the first layers of green down, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. I've painted too much green lately.
I love posing them. That's my problem. Is I love building dreadnoughts because you can get so much like weight out of them. My 2 Leviathans, like one of them, y'all have seen the box dreads I did where they're kicking open doors and stuff. And my first Leviathan I built is like shoulder charging, and then the second one is just kind of slowly marching forward with his double auto guns. But I just love building dreadnoughts.
I can't blame you. I mean, this Contemptor that I've put together for the World Eaters, he's literally lunging forward with one hand, like, Arr! Yeah. So
I've got one of those too. They're just so fun. They're so posable. There's so many parts on them.
Yeah, and thankfully for me, because I got him from Forge World before they did the the silly resculpts, he still has the legs and the shoulders that are for
nice.
There you go.
So I'm actually going to end up putting a heavy bolter, I think, on his other arm from his fist, and using him as the one, basically the relic Contemptor Gort or whatever his name was, who got killed in the Betrayer novel. Oh, and I'll show you all this. I'm going to try to start working on this model, which I will intend to use as a relic for the World Eaters, because it's Latera Saren from some company in Russia.
Super cool.
Yeah, I'm really happy with her, and I'll put her together and do something with her eventually. And back to you, sir. Jacob, what have you been doing lately?
So this weekend was pretty important for me. I got over the course of the last weekend and this week finished repainting my master suite. Just got the carpet up in there this weekend, which means that we're finally looking at a timeline now that her goldfish tank has been moved down here and the bedroom is ready for her. To get the fiance moved in, hopefully by like the first weekend in May, if we're playing our cards right. We also set up a desk for her. She wanted to get a new desk with some sit-stand action going on, so set that up, built that up. But otherwise, that's kind of been my hobby progress this week. Very fast approaching the light at the end of the tunnel as far as finishing a lot of these home renovation projects. And that's definitely helped give me more confidence to start picking at lists again and figure out if, where, and how I'm going in Heresy with regard to army projects. Definitely trying to pin down both a time to get a game in with Nick and to see what he's thinking for some Drop Pod Thousand Suns for me, and then figure out based on how that game goes if that's a list I'm going to continue with, or if I'm going to kind of focus on 2 new Legion projects for this edition. I've got a Raven Guard list I'm pretty confident in if I end up wanting to play Loyalists. And then on the trader side of things, it'll either probably be a matter of kind of reshaping the drop pods into a new list from another Legion. I've got a couple right now that I've got some pretty good feedback on from Death Guard and Word Bearers. Or the opposite end is get rid of the drop pods and move into seeing if or what I can restructure my Alpha Legion into. But yeah, it's pretty exciting. I do feel like I've been very fortunate to get some of the things taken care of that have kind of bogged me down at the start of this year. Really hoping to turn the corner and to hopefully start enjoying things again after all this kind of settles out.
Sounds like a plan.
I'm hoping so anyway. Otherwise, what's our hobby, or not our hobby? What's our product preview for this week?
Yeah, so I'll kind of tackle that. So we started getting our first previews of the Siege of Chthonia, and in that we got the reveal of the decurion Defensor and decurion Sagittar. I think it's a little weird that we're getting very Legion-specific models for 2 generic characters. The fact that the Sagittar has, the Defensor has the assault cannon and is specifically very fists, and then the other one is very Sons of Horus with a heavy bolter the size of a battle cannon.
Based on my reading of that, those models are special, like decurion subtypes for those armies, but I thought just a generic decurion was going to be available for all legions.
So all legions can take the unit, but not all legions are going to have models.
Yeah, that makes sense. But that, yeah, I don't disagree that it's weird that we went out of the way to not make these named characters, but very much to sculpt them so specifically. And so, like, I guess I will be less. I won't say put off because they are nice models, even if I think they aren't for me. I wonder if we're gonna get then a pair of opposing consuls as a regular pattern for campaign books. Like, are we maybe gonna get like a Raven Guard and Alpha Legion branded Vigilator or similar character at some point?
Yeah,
And
maybe.
this is a one-off, so it's a little hard to build a graph off of one, but it would be cool if that's kind of the way they're going to do it. Is every book is going to have a versus. Obviously, that's the way you build campaigns, but and then you kind of throw in a couple characters off of that. If that's what they end up doing, I'm for it. That way, you're not like as feel bads. Oh well, I'm not. Obviously, someone's going to be last, so they're going to feel a little worse off for that, but you're going to get characters at some point for something. That way, you still have some special characters coming down, or special sculpts coming down the line for your legion. Because again, remember, some people still don't have generic praetors. Some people still don't have, if we're still doing it, leviathans. And now, I mean, everybody has the torso for the contemptor at least, but it'll be interesting to see what goes on. As far as rules, though, as someone who has been playing Armored Breakthrough for the last few events, I'm going to say these are pretty meh. I don't know a points cost on these guys, but
Yeah, I don't disagree. So if I understood, both decurions give the ability to grant a special advanced reaction to the tank they're embarked on, where you get to fire defensive weapons normally, but you get to double fire the pintle weapon. Is that correct?
yeah, it
Yeah.
seems that which decurion you take determines what special rules they get. It's very odd. I almost like, why wouldn't you just make this one model? So the first one, the second one gets Skyfire and precision shots 5+.
Yeah, can
Is that a
choose
thing you were
those.
worried
They
about?
can choose that anytime they fire. And
Yeah.
what's more is that they can always. So both of the Decurions can target their pintle mounted weapon independently of other weapons systems on the tank. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know
I
how
don't
I
hate
feel
that, but
about
I
the
don't
whole
know how I
thing.
feel about it.
My initial reaction, founded or otherwise, was to look at the fact that they gave bonus rules. I think one of which was the precision shot 5+ to the Imperial Fist guy. In addition to, I think he gets like an augury scanner or something, and I had a lot of initial frustration that I felt like the rich got richer with that release. Just to give some context there, like, I don't think Imperial Fists are overpowered, but I do get frustrated looking at them because I feel like they have a greater degree of depth or flexibility in list construction than a lot of their peers. And so adding in this seemingly very appealing tank commander choice, just kind of frustrating.
The other odd part is you're taking something that is already kind of seen by the community, and obviously they sculpt this ahead of time. I'm not saying that they purposely did this, but you're taking things that are seen as inferior by the community. Tanks in general are kind of not as good as they could be, um, especially at Kratos, and you're slapping more points on them, and possibly giving up victory points or whatever if you're taking Centurions and things like that, as these are going to be HQ choices. So are you? It'll be interesting to see how they decide to either take the tanks out of heavy support, move them into HQ, or is this going to be an upgrade for all tanks? There's a lot of questions that come along with this, in the fact that you're just adding more points onto a thing that is already, for the most part, considered overcosted.
Yeah, I could see that. I know that the community definitely has some more complex feelings to sort out about tanks. Coming from a group where one guy like loves his dreadnoughts and is starting to understand that love may not be the healthiest thing in the world right now. And another guy loves his tanks, and some people are very concerned about the all tank lists, as we talked about in that show. But I don't disagree that the notion of like, cool, so you get precision shot 5+ on this tank, but you can't precision shot a blast weapon, and how many of them have particularly potent direct fires that aren't going to make that mess anyway? Like, I guess you could make the argument the Melta Cannon on a Predator or the Kratos, but even then, if you're taking a Melta Cannon Kratos, I think they made the Melta Cannon range pretty short, didn't they?
36 inches.
Okay. I was thinking it was only 18 for some reason, but maybe that's just for the Melta rule.
It is.
Yeah, so it's not unfeasible to think that eventually somebody is going to at least toy with the notion of taking one of those precision fire guys and dropping them in a lots of DACA Kratos with all the Volkites strapped onto it and the Melta Cannon. But even then, like, that's kind of your worst case scenario to have to worry about. Is just that, well, now I've got to slow the game down, track out how many of these are hits on 5+, and then allocate those separately.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the kind of the biggest complaint about the Armistos last edition, when it would increase the number of shots and make things hot. It would just slow the game.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I remember trying to play Raven's Talons in Raven Guard armies last year, or I say last year, last edition, and it's like, oh, I have to roll each of these models' attacks individually because they're all master crafted, and rather than just like changing mastercraft to reroll ones, it was still just one reroll per model. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up not bringing my Mechanicum to Adepticon for the tag team event. Partially, at least, because I didn't want to make my opponents watch me roll numbers in small groups for all those plasma shots.
I appreciate that, but I'm not really quite certain if I feel that's sporting or not, if you know what I mean.
What do you mean?
I mean, yeah, spamming a lot of shots like that can be, and the way they function can be a little bit ridiculous, but it's flavorful in some
No,
ways.
it's true. It is. It's true.
And if we as a community, especially we as the group here, we endorse playing Heresy in the way the flavor is. So I'm not really sure that shying away from the flavor just because of how it functions on the tabletop is a good idea, except regarding how broken some things can be.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's all.
No,
You're endorsing a mortar company of 12 rapiers with mortars?
So the reason I shy away from that is because it's unpleasant for someone else to try to play against.
I know. I'm just taking your your talk to a logical conclusion.
Oh no, I agree. And I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I think after my point last show, I think I should at least stick to my guns of I really like it when mechanics are mechanics and dice rolling is not the mechanic.
Yeah, I remember when I was playing Robotech that I took first place at the one Adepticon event that they ever ran for that miniature game before it imploded on itself because the company doesn't know how to run companies. And I was talking to the rules designer.
Hold on, are you suggesting that your backers might get upset if you sell product to people who didn't back before you fulfill your obligations?
I'm talking about selling models that aren't going to exist for 12 years, but yeah, that too.
What was the name of that shield on top of the Dorito?
Yeah.
Right. But
are we talking about Star Citizen?
Yes, we're talking about Star Citizen.
Not the Scientology of video games. So no, the Robotech guys, I was talking to their rules writer, and I was like, yeah, it's a fun game until I fire missiles. And then the game breaks, and he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, there's these 12 charts that I have to reference, and then I drift, and then I do this, and then I do this. He's like, yeah, it's just like in the show. The whole show stops, and you watch the missiles. And I was like, that's dumb.
I mean, it's realistic.
We were so busy with the fascination of can we create this perfect simulation that we never stopped to ask ourselves, should we?
Yeah.
What was that?
And my hand decided I didn't want to hold that drink anymore.
Oh.
But that being said,
I will happily remind you that as long as you are on terra firma, gravity is the law, and we obey the law.
Yeah, if you want to figure out how to break that law, like I break others. I mean, don't Nope, that's got to be edited out.
Anyway, what?
You got rid of our lawyer.
So speaking of breaking laws, I think I found a way to break the laws of gentlemanly play and heresy even worse.
Oh, God.
I made the Blood Angel list even worse while we're sitting here talking.
Oh god.
It's now got 304 shots.
Oh my god.
Perfect.
Anyway,
Done. Yeah. I'm sorry for whoever plays this list if it ever sees the light of day on a tabletop.
I was actually.
Why would you make this? Why are you the way that you are?
Because Jack challenged me to make a list.
it was not.
Hold on, Jack. Hold on. You can rebut in a moment. You can have your rebuttal in a moment. Jack challenged me to make a 1,500 point list. And so I was making a 1,500 point Blood Angel list. And I was fiddling around with stuff and didn't like what I was fiddling around with and started going, well, I can make it a little bit better by actually including some shooting and not relying purely on hand-to-hand combat through assault squads, which, as we all know, aren't all that great. And so I started fiddling, and I started fiddling, and I started fiddling some more. And I was like, I don't actually own this one squad, but if I use this squad, it actually would be good in the Day of Sorrows list. And so I put the Angel's Tears in there. And I was like, but they're a destroyer squad, so I can't actually have an apothecary join them. So I was like, oh, man, well, I don't need that apothecary. That gives me another 70-something points. Well, if I get rid of the other apothecaries, that lets me have more Angel's Tears in this 1,500 point list.
Beautiful.
And then, obviously, just expanding from a 1,500 point list to a 3,000 point list for play, I was like, well, geez, how many assault cannons can I fit in this list? And I'm not certain if this is the maximum number you can fit into a 3,000 point list, but
I think I just need to replace our entire conversation here with just the Bert sound effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do earlier. It didn't come through as good.
I mean, I don't think 304 shots are too many, or are they too many? I mean, is there really too much of anything in Heresy?
Yes.
That's a leading question, and it's not a very good one.
There's too many Ultramarines.
That's true. There's way too many Ultramarine players.
John's doing... Duncan's doing his part to fix that.
To eliminate the Ultramarines by not playing
with the assault cannons.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I actually... It's interesting because, earlier this week, I was talking to my wife about something, a question that I was submitted to me on an Eptis Astartes that I just ignored because it was like, how can I punch my friend in a list? And I was like, I'm just going to ignore this one. But then I was talking to my wife about, because she doesn't exactly know what this game is, and she doesn't actually care either. But it was very sweet of her to ask. And so she was like, so what are you supposed to try to? Is it supposed to be fun, or are you supposed to try to win? And I'm like, both. But then it got me thinking. I was like, but what if it wasn't? And so then I sat down and I tried to design the least pleasant list that I could to play against, just as an academic exercise. And I'm not sharing it here. Because I'm sure there are worse ones to get, but I found a couple of ideas that I thought that are just really, really, really terrible.
I'll have to send you the other list I've made that is
similar.
Not quite this level of shenanigans.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not a pleasant list.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I found in this edition, and this is not me talking bad about this edition, is that the ability to skew a list in one direction is so easy and rewarding from a not only a point perspective, but a cost perspective is astounding. There's so much self-regulation that you as a player have to do to ensure that you are not abusing the system. It's mind-boggling. It could be the fact that it's still a very new system. We're still trying to figure out what's good, what's bad. But there's several times that I've talked to people and well, what do you think about this? And then they look at me and I go, yeah, I just heard it out loud for the first time talking to somebody. That sounds absolutely horrible to play against. So never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you there.
No, it's the same thing, I've heard all sorts of people talk about it constantly, but there is an arms race in the game versus between contemptors and whatever can kill contemptors, and basically just the things that can kill contemptors have to be very good, very aggressively costed, and so that they can match up. But then those things, it's like introducing a new animal into an ecosystem and then watching the terror run free.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where just a slight imbalance, and you can very easily just like Jack said, you can just create a situation that is just wholly and bizarrely out of control.
Yep. So Jack, do you have your rebuttal ready for why I created this list?
I simply
I forgot about that.
Hey, with the new sprues that are coming out for javelins, and you're playing Blood Angels, would you in your list include javelins with heavy flamers subbed out for the assault cannons that you can do with Blood Angels? And then before I know it, he was like, well, if I do it this way, I have 1,776 shots at 11 points. So yes, at no point was it a challenge. There was no gauntlet thrown. He did this of his own volition, free will, whatever you want to say, because he's just that type of guy.
You're saying I took it to excess because that's who I am.
Yes.
You're right. So Jacob, there you go. That's exactly how I am. I just take things to the absolute logical extreme and then chuckle in a disgusting way.
I like your logical extreme justification there.
76 assault cannons and 3,000 points. I mean, Bert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jacob, I'll send you a sound effect to put in.
There you go.
Anytime we have just
can it be Jesse the Body?
Yeah.
It just needs to be Jesse the Body Ventura. It doesn't need to be the gun. Don't do the gun.
Are you talking the
Tyrannosaurus?
Yep, that's the one.
There you go.
Now I got to see if I can find a 3D printed version of that so I can make that every single squad sergeant.
100%.
So is this how we've got to start episodes off whenever we get Ned back? Ned, they got you pushing too many pencils.
Oh, yeah, that actually fits.
That works. I like that.
Oh, God. But hey, it was a fun mind game, and it will absolutely counter and be a nasty counter to anybody who brings a Fury of the Ancients list.
Yeah, there's so much of that. I was thinking about this. I was trying to describe this to a friend who is interested in heresy, but has always just played, just really likes Xenos armies, and has always played 40k. And they're not a competitive 40k player, but I was trying to explain like the vibe for, the Adepticon weekend. I mean, obviously I was lucky. I'm able to drive to Adepticon, so I brought a lot of points. And so I didn't just bring one list, but I was switching things up just for fun to try things out. But just the idea of like building a list that is, with a little bit of flaw in it, just because, like I'm going to bring some Assault Marines, they kind of suck, but I'm going to bring them in there anyway because I like the idea, or I want to use them, or whatever else, and designing something that, and it is pretty funny. Although you do get to play against some of the same people that you meet year after year, strangely enough, I met everyone that I played this year was someone that I had met online before, at least, but somebody that I had never met face to face. So it was just weird because I wasn't really making new connections, so to speak, in my games. I met a lot of other people, but you build your list anticipating coming up against somebody you don't know, and you don't want to make the kind of impression on them where they hate you when you walk away because you brought 304 assault cannon shots.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. Wait, are you saying I shouldn't do that?
Maybe not without warning. I don't know.
No. I will obviously.
This is the warning right here.
If I build this list, I will get other stuff to. I will get other stuff to sub in so the list does not get played against someone who is not expecting the sizzle monstrosity.
But you're saying if I happen to line up against you next year,
I will warn you and say, hey, I will have the Bert and the non-Bert. Which would you rather deal with?
Well, you won't ask.
When you asked me for feedback on the list, I thought it was a fine list. I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious. I don't think it's, unless you're just all foot-slogging infantry, I don't think it's that bad.
Does it have a lot of augury scanners?
Not a single one.
Oh, that's fine. There you go. Yeah, that's it. Settled.
Thanks.
It's the same logic I took with my Predators. I didn't buy the upgrades that make them good. I just bought more of them.
Yeah, I didn't buy anything to make them good, and I don't have a good commander. I literally just have odd assault cannons that go forward and score.
I was actually really laughing at when I got to play my armored assault at Adepticon. I was like, wow, my turns are short. Because, like, there's whole phases of the game where I don't do anything. Do you want to react to this? Nah, I really can't. Go ahead.
The most reaction I used was drive backwards.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of reverse. That was it.
I mean, it's kind of like the World Leaders list I have. It has the only shooting comes from the transports.
Yeah.
And they're really not going to be shooting since they'll be going forward as fast as possible.
Were we going to talk about the other upgrades or the other new tanks? The Sakaran?
Yeah.
I think Duncan has strong opinions about that one.
The Venator in plastic is up for pre-order, and so is the Cerberus in plastic.
Yes.
Yeah, they go live next week for pre-order. So this is today's article says that next week's releases are going to be the Venator and the
Cerberus.
Cerberus.
Right?
Yep. And so we get Charles Dance. I mean the Lion. We get Azrael, Dante, and Vishtor, and some actually really cool Blood Angels dice. If you're going to be rolling a lot of sixes, you might want those.
I was just going to get a couple of Shadowrun bricks.
Yeah, I like the Venator redo because I've got two resins that are old, almost 6 years old now. But it's going to be nice to not have one that you can worry about dropping and killing a small child because it's a solid brick of resin.
Right.
And it comes with all the sponsons options available. I think Venators are fun in lists. I run 2 in my armored breakthrough, and somehow one always kills itself through 1 or 2 hull points caused by the opponent, and then 1 or 2 overheats.
Good. I've always liked the tank. I've always wanted to run one, so I think I'm going to probably get one eventually.
Yeah, they're good tanks.
I think I'm going to end up probably with the Venator too, just because I haven't put together a plastic Scaran yet, and get it while the injection modes are still hot and fresh.
Well, I don't really blame you on that. I'm probably not going to get another Venator. Like I said, I just don't see any way I need to use it right now.
It's another one thing that's going in the Ultramarines list. That's what it's for.
Jack, how many points can you make in a single Ultramarines army right now?
I don't know, and that's
okay.
Like,
I'm here for you.
This is probably like a weird conversation to have. But I'll say it out loud. I'm coming to a point in my life where I know I am not going to be, I don't know, physically able to take on big sweeping projects for like a large amount of time, and not talking about like, physically like with hands and fingers. I'm talking about like physically being able to sit down at a desk and devote the amount of time that is required.
Right.
So really at this point in my hobby life, there'll be a lot of little projects here and there, like a 1,500 point list here, and a Golden Demon entry that I can work on literally for a whole entire year and not have to worry about. But as far as like, I have this new shiny army that I want to take to Adepticon, that's over for me. I'm shooting for a promotion at work that's going to, really limits the amount of time that I can throw at this. I have 2 kids, one's about ready to be, have a birthday. Another one is, growing up before my eyes. Do I want to be spending all my time out here hobbying and doing stuff, or do I want to go hang out with the kids?
Obviously, the answer is hobbying, because
obviously hobbying.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you met children? Oh my God. John was laughing when John earlier said he was worried. He actually wants to get more of the plastic Sakarans, Venators, because he's going to kill some kids with those resin ones, and he needs to be able to get rid of them. So
all he needs to do is stick them in a tube sock and swing it around like a flail.
There you go.
That's a dreadnought. But like the Ultramarines right now are literally, I'm just going to keep working on, and every single year at Adepticon, you're probably going to see me with Ultramarines unless I can somehow get Shattered Legions back. Cross my fingers and hope. But that's it.
I don't blame you on that. I mean,
So,
I don't have any young kids. I do have problems with my hands that are getting slowly worse as the years go by. I may end up having to have surgery on my elbow to fix the left hand. We'll see. But yeah, I look at the projects that I have, and then I look at the projects I want to work on, and I'm like, do I really want to do this? I mean, I've got a lot of job responsibilities. I got a lot of family responsibilities. And sometimes I wish that I didn't have those responsibilities, but other times I'm like, I just don't really feel it right now. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
So,
Is the name of this episode going to be
It's
Ned comes on the cast and the boys get sads? Like, does anyone, like, everyone's going to be like, hey, and this one's guest starring Ned, and your listeners are going to be like, hell no, get out of here.
I mean, Ned gives everyone the sad.
Ned gives the sads. Fine. Fine.
I'll make that positive, though. I mean, Jack, think about, you may not build giant lists from scratch, but you can always add on to your Ultramarines, like what I'm doing. Every year
and that's the plan. Like, I plan on doing like a squad of every single Legion for tax. That way I have, 4 20 or 5 20-man blocks that I can throw down at any given time. Is this something that I can work on in the background? Something that I can literally put in my hobby to go bag and slowly work on, but not have to have the full array of all the little doodads that I have here, because I'm painting it to a table standard, not I want to go out and win paint trophy standards. I'm going to have fun, and the models are going to be broken because there will be bourbon involved.
By the way, speaking of, I'm going to interject with a story here real fast.
I'm scared.
No, it's okay. You're safe. It's a safe place. So, I blitzed and I put together all of my Iron Hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they do not belong in the Golden Demon case. 0%. They don't belong in the case downstairs, like where they store things that they moved so that they could display the Golden Demons. But regardless, I did bring, I painted and brought a Mastodon. And so many people asked to take pictures of that tank just because they hadn't seen it before. And I was absolutely cracking up because one of my friends came by who is just a master artist. And, I was like, hey, some more people just came by and took a picture of my Mastodon. And he's just rolling his eyes because he knows, he looks at it and he knows how much time I spent on it and how much time I didn't spend on it. But, I also am very comfortable with the fact that I've never been a super high quality painter, and I'm probably not ever going to be one. I will try whatever else, but like Jack said, I have 2 kids. I've got a job where I work really long hours at night. I'm gonna work tonight after I get done doing this, and it's I'm fine with my level of hobby because it makes me happy. It allows me to interact with wonderful people like you. Except for Jack, who yells at me at conventions.
But I do it in a friendly manner.
That's a very good point. But yeah, I just, we should. It is a realistic thing. We are men of a certain age, and this is dad or dad equivalent hammer. As far as the time we have and whatever else we have. If we got things we can. Some people are blessed with more time. Go ahead, John.
There's nothing wrong with knowing your limits. That's I'm not climbing Everest because I've got a bad back and 2 bad knees. So I understand what I can and can't do within my physical capabilities. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
But what was it? Garrow was happy being a line sergeant.
Yeah, he was.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's what you want to do in life. You do it.
I think Jacob said before we started recording, this would be a nice, easy, uplifting podcast.
Yeah.
Man,
sorry. Oh no, I did it.
Yeah.
Jacob, sorry.
That's $1 in the.
Oh, that poor little fucking.
I never swear on my podcast either, which is hilarious. So I come on here. What do I do right away?
You're just
right away?
I can make it somebody else's problem. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Do we want to go over anything with the Toys for Tots since we're list ideas or anything like that?
I think we're still currently in the accepting lists phase. So if you, our listeners, have any suggestions, we would strongly encourage you to send those to, I believe our new address is heresy@podcast.com.
No, it's a show at heresypodcast.com.
Show at heresypodcast.com. Send your lists. 3,000 points. White Scars or Word Bearers.
Yep.
Or both. It's not mutually exclusive.
I think Duncan just razzed me again the other day for not sending in the White Scars list that I said I was going to send in.
I would never choose to razz you for not doing what you said you would do.
Yeah. No. You would. That's okay.
You're right. Yeah. I would. And just so that we're understood, I'm going to keep doing just that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine.
All right, what else we got?
I don't know if we have all that much beyond that today, honestly.
Yeah, I think we had a fairly relaxed show, and I think for the future, did we want to try to submit for help for covering some of the other legions that we talked about, or
Yes, absolutely. We'll put that out there. So what we're through, are we through Iron Warriors, or are we just now on to them now?
We're on them. Duncan has to do them.
Yeah. So we are just about to start Iron Warriors. We will do 2 shows on them. One where we kind of do the fluff, and then another where we get a little crunchy. But if that's something that you have experience in and interest in, similarly, don't be afraid to drop us a line.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Otherwise, it sounds like that's a good point for us to maybe look at signing off here.
That sounds not unreasonable to me at this point.
Yep. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube so that we can keep growing our YouTube channel.
Yes, we do have to hit, I think it's 1,000 subscribers on that.
1,000 subscribers to do some things.
Uh-huh.
Also, I'm personally planning on putting some paint tutorials on there. I'm going to tell everybody else on this podcast, hey, if you want to do something, since we all have these nifty little cameras, do it. Send it to me. I'll throw it up for you too. It'll be fun.
I agree.
Just remind people.
Recording. I was going to start recording like basics of starting out with legions and things like that. Starting out with the models. And sorry, Ned, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, just also a reminder that if you enjoyed the Heresy the Heresy Wants You posters from Adepticon that our friend Duncan had made, then the shirts for those are available also on the link, which I'll get that link to Jacob so he can put it in the show notes. And while he's there, you could also buy some merch for Ineptus Astartes, another humble podcast run by a very, very kind and generous soul like the war crime committing folks that you've heard here tonight.
Absolutely. With all of that having been said, thank you for joining us for episode 38. I've been Jacob, and this show I've been joined by
Duncan,
Ned,
John.
And we're glad we had you with us, listeners. Remember, stay accountable to your hobby and to your buddies. We'll catch you next time.